Hi, and welcome to Mondays with Marlo. We're so excited to have our guest today. There's been so many requests for Victoria Stilwell. She is a great dog behaviorist, and we all need to have our dogs behave. So I think that's why you're all so excited to talk to her. But we really have had a lot of people ask for you. So I'm excited that you're here and that you flew all this way to be with us.
Yeah, well, hey, absolutely.
That's great. That's just so great. So we need your help because we've got so many questions. So I'm going to just dig right in. Okay. The first one is from Reed Donahue, who I'm laughing because this is my daughter-in-law. And she says, any tips on the best way to introduce a new family puppy to an 8-year-old dog?
Okay.
That's a problem.
Yes,
always.
that is. Well, you've got two very different ages there, two very different energy levels. So you have to make sure that puppy and older dog get on, because dogs can't choose their friends. We choose friends for our dogs.
Right.
So first of all, I like to maybe introduce puppy and dog on neutral territory. That's what I think is important. So you're not bringing puppy into the home where the existing dog might be a little bit protective of that dog's resources. So do it on neutral territory. And when they've accepted each other, then
You mean
bring
like
them into
at a
the
McDonald's
home.
or another?
Oh, no, in the park. Yeah, McDonald's, great place. No, in a park or just somewhere away from your home or away from the territory that your dog knows.
I see.
And that will kind of calm things down a little bit. But when you do bring puppy into your house, I think it's really important that you manage your environment. So for example, puppy can have time to play with your older dog, but really watch your older dog's body language. And if your older dog has had enough or showing signs like gets up and walks away or is getting irritated with puppy, take puppy away and give both dogs space. Also, older dogs can get jealous of newer dogs coming into the home.
Yes.
So I think that's really important too, that you really make sure that your older dog gets as much attention as that puppy gets, and give them free time by themselves. So you spend some time with your older dog, some time with puppy. Now here's a good tip. Whenever puppy's around, great things happen to your older dog. So for example, if you do this with two people, you're sitting there with your older dog and puppy comes in, and when puppy comes into the room, you then give your older dog his favorite toy, treats, play, petting, praise, whatever makes that dog feel good. And then when puppy's taken out, those rewards stop. And this will mean that your older dog, every single time puppy comes into the room, sees puppy's presence as being a really good thing.
Oh, that's great. And what about sleeping?
Sleeping, well, you find that dogs actually sleeping is really important socially for dogs.
Right.
So you might find that once your puppy's house trained, because until it's house trained, it really needs to be in a crate.
Right.
Don't ever put the two dogs in a crate together.
No.
But have them sleeping close to each other if that's what they want.
Right. That's great. That's wonderful.
Good luck.
Good luck,
Yeah.
Reed. This is from Tommy Sumter. Is it okay for your dog to sleep in your bed?
Absolutely. If your dog is not causing issues. Now, I've gone into so many homes where you've had the couple sleeping in the bed and one person tries to get into the bed and the dog doesn't allow that person and growls and bites and lunges.
Right.
And I always say that sometimes that's the greatest excuse since the headache. Not tonight, dear, I have a dog. So I would say absolutely fine. Again, sleeping is important. It also shows that when your dog wants to sleep with you, that it trusts you, because when an animal's asleep, it obviously can't defend itself.
Right.
So sleeping really shows trust. So I would say if there are no issues, fine.
On the outside of the covers, right?
Yeah, the outside of the covers. Look,
I had a Yorkie that would go underneath.
I'm always worried,
Yes.
not so much about disease, though diseases are spread with your dog sleeping in your bed. However, it's also rolling over onto them and crushing, especially a small dog.
Yes. This is from Mark. I'm thinking of getting a dog, and I've never had any pets before. Do you have any tips on how to prepare? That's a great question.
It is a great question.
Okay,
Well,
Mark.
Research. Really look at your lifestyle, your activities, what you really like to do, how much time you have to spend with that dog, and realize that when that dog comes into your home, that's a living, breathing, feeling being coming into your home. That do you have the next 15 years, if you're going to get a puppy, that you're going to have time to devote to that dog? That's the questions that I would ask yourself. And then I would sort of sit yourself down and pretend that you were being interviewed by a dog. What can you offer a dog? And what kind of personality are you? And then when you've done that, do you want a puppy or do you want an older dog? And then when you come up with those answers. Do you want a dog from a shelter, or do you want to go the route of a breeder? But please, please, please do not get a puppy from a pet store, because puppies from pet stores come from puppy mills, and we don't want to line the puppy millers' pockets, because puppy mills are awful places that breed just for money with no care for the dog's welfare, health, or temperament.
Really?
Yes.
So how you prepare is you figure out exactly what you can give the dog if you have the time to have the dog. And anything else to prepare?
Time to prepare, research what kind of breed. So for example, if you live in a city like this,
Right.
Are you going to get a border collie? Maybe not so great. Border collies need a lot of time, they need a lot of energy, they're very sound sensitive too. So living in a city like this, in an urban environment with the sirens, that might be too much for some dogs to cope with.
Right.
But maybe a Cavalier King Charles, great to have in the city.
Right,
You know,
right.
more of a companion dog, less exercise, where it's important that all dogs have exercise.
Right.
But yeah, a large dog or a small dog. Do you
Right.
live in a small apartment? Are you going to get a Great Dane?
Right, right.
Fine to get a Great Dane, better than being in a cage or a crate or a
Right.
kennel run, but as long as you give that dog exercise.
Okay. This is from McSheila. Hi, Victoria and Marlo. I love your shows. Question. Our 5-month-old German Shepherd has major chewing, teething issues. I bought her a ton of chew toys, rawhide bones, to get her through the teething stage. But as soon as I give her one, she buries it in the backyard. 2 minutes later, she returns to chew whatever she can sink her teeth into, including my 9-year-old daughter. The house is as puppy-proof as possible, but she's a bit of a Houdini when my back is turned. We love her to bits, but clearly need your wisdom on how to best deal with this problem.
Okay, well, very normal problem. It sounds like you're doing a lot of really good stuff to try and deal with it. But yes, this puppy phase, when the chewing phase, when the teeth are coming through, can be really, really trying. And know that it's going to last for a while, because between 6 to 9 months as well, when the adult teeth are setting into the jaw, that's a second chewing phase as
Right.
well. Now, I think by giving, I wouldn't give rawhide to a dog, and the reason why is that, especially for a puppy, rawhide can be quite tough on the stomach. I would give different kinds of what I call activity toys. Now, these are really hard, durable rubber toys that you pack with a little bit of your dog's dinner. And pack it in maybe with a tiny bit of cheese or something, nothing that could upset your dog's stomach. Put it in the freezer. Wait till it's frozen and then give it to your dog, because what's happening, it's like the toys are getting boring, and also then the toys are getting buried in the backyard. But if the toy is so motivating that the dog's just got to chew on it right now, then the dog is going to resist taking that chew toy to the backyard and burying it.
And freezing it does that for him.
Freezing does it. Freezing, because you can smell, if you put cheese or some really delicious
Right.
food, you can smell that smell.
Right.
And and the cheesing, the freezing really helps to relieve the pressure on those gums.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah.
You are good. This is from Phillies. Can you offer 5 tips on training a puppy?
5 tips on training puppy. Okay, I would say first of all, positive reinforcement. Do not train your dog using dominance, a human dominance animal submission methodology. Look, dogs, as I said, are thinking, feeling, breathing beings, and very, very emotional beings too. And the old style of training where you dominate the dog into submission, even though it's called calm submission, it's not submission at all. There is no such thing as calm submission. The really way you get your dog, you encourage your dog to learn and be successful in your domestic environment, is to use positive reinforcement. And that is any behavior that you like in your puppy, reward it. Doesn't always have to be with food. It can be food, toys, praise, play, anything, but mark it. And then your puppy's going to feel good about doing that behavior and is going to do that behavior again. And then you're going to reward that behavior. So now the behavior is deeply ingrained.
Right.
So positive reinforcement is the best way to deal with teaching a puppy, encouraging it to learn, but also trying to prevent any kind of behavior problems from happening in the future. Second thing, exercise. Very important. Not too much though, because puppies' muscles and bones are still developing. I would say the third thing is play. Puppies learn a lot through play. Puppies love playing either with you or with other pups. The fourth thing is socialization. Now, socialization is the most important thing you're going to do with your pup, and that means exposing your puppy to all kinds of environments, be it the grocery store, be it the park, somebody's home, your home, and introduce your puppy to a lot of different people.
And a lot of different animals too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get them to socialize a lot of different kind of animals as well, cats as well. Maybe not socialize with cats, but introduce them so that they understand what a cat is. And then the last thing is habituation. Allow your puppy to really get habituated to touch. especially around the mouth and the ears and the paws, because that's what's going to happen to puppy when puppy goes to the vet, for example, to have his teeth checked.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
my 5
great.
tips.
Oh, those are great tips. This is from Sam Ridgeback. Hi, Sam. I'm a great fan of your show and your methods. I'm looking for your opinion on when to castrate male dogs. I have a 6-month-old Doberman and have been advised by the vets that 8 months is the right time. 12 months is the advice of the breeder, and 18 months from my current dog trainer. So he's got 3 different. Which one?
Look, there's so much confusion. And I was speaking about this with a veterinarian the other day. And he said, basic rule of thumb is before that, about around 6 months, before that sort of adolescent stage sets in, before sexual maturity, which for most dogs is around 6 months old.
Oh, really?
That's when I would do it, because you'll find if you do it later, there might be some behavior issues that could come with the presence of testosterone,
Right.
that might make the dog a little bit more reactive,
Right.
and it's harder to change if you don't neuter the dog earlier rather than later.
Right,
So,
right.
around
Hard
6
to take
months.
them back to the farm after they've seen Perry. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it. That is can I use that
You
one?
sure can. This is from Doreen Sarcone. Thunder. How do you recommend helping dogs through this turmoil? I rescue dogs, and often they are strays who had lived outdoors and had to survive storms. They shake, drool, pant, try to escape. Our Goldens used to jump in my lap, and they were not rescue dogs. They just jumped in. They were terrified of the thunder.
Okay. Thunderstorm phobia is so prevalent, and especially if you live in the Midwest or the South, forget it. So many dogs suffer from it. And of course, they don't know what the noise is. They don't know what the flashes of lightning are. To them, with very, very sensitive hearing and eyesight, it's freaky. There's a lot of things that you can do. First of all, I would say is make sure that your dog has a den-like space to go into. Lots of dogs orientate themselves to a cupboard or to a bathroom, places where there are no windows, they can't see the flashes of light. If your dog wants to go into the bathroom, let that dog go into the bathroom or the closet. There is some thought that changes of barometric pressure and other reasons can cause dogs to maybe feel static electricity around them before you even know
really?
that thunderstorm's coming. So
Really?
give your dog maybe a rubber matting, or allow your dog to go into the bathroom. Now, you'll find that a lot of dogs that are thunderstorm phobic go into the bathroom and they go behind the basin or try and orientate themselves behind the toilet.
Right.
And the reason why they do this is because there are pipes there that ground these dogs to to the earth, which means they don't receive shocks anymore.
That's interesting.
So there's also noise phobia, the noise of the thunderstorm. Now, what you can do for this is that I have a series called the Canine Noise Phobia series. And what I've done is paired clinically demonstrated music that calm dogs, which is music that's played on a single piano at a very, very low tone, very low frequency, that has shown to calm dogs down in all kinds of environments. When you pair that with gradual noises or sound effects of thunderstorms, and you introduce that to your dog very, very slowly, your dog can become desensitized to the noise of the sound. And I know I'm going on about, but this is really
good. No,
interesting.
this is big. I like this.
Yeah. Now, the reason why the
I
noise
use music to calm me down.
and yes, don't we all?
yes,
don't we all?
yeah.
And I think same thing for dogs. Now, what you're actually doing when you're playing with this music and gradually introducing your dogs to the sounds of a thunderstorm, you're changing your dog from actively listening to the sound to passively hearing it. And here's the difference. If you stop now, stop listening to us and listen to the sounds around you in the room. Your ear is now actively listening to the sounds around you, even though before they've always been there, but you were passively hearing them, but they didn't bother you because you weren't actively listening to them. Now you're actively, hopefully, listening to me again. The sounds are still in the background, but now you're passively hearing them again. That's what the Canine Noise Phobia series does. Changes the dog from actively listening to those scary sounds to passively hearing them. Okay, the sounds are there, I can hear them, but they don't bother me anymore.
Oh, that's great. That's
Okay.
wonderful. This is from Tiffany, D.C. I have a 2.5-year-old Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. I love those little dogs.
So do I. They're my favorite, one of my
They're
favorite
so
breeds.
darling.
Yeah.
He's gone through extensive training and is a very well-behaved dog. He recently has gone through some life changes and has moved and is living with cats. This has been for 8 months, and he's only getting along with one cat, and I know if they were going to get along, it should have happened by now. Everyone is telling me to do a shock collar, but I'm 100% against them. I need help. Oh my gosh.
No, no, no. Shock, shock, shock. No.
No.
Look, you can teach a dog not to chase cats with positive reinforcement, teaching the dog impulse control. Using shock is the worst thing you can do to a dog ever.
gosh.
Even though there are some people out there who say that using shock is okay, it's just a little bit of sort of static that the dog can feel. No, 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 no. Shock has caused so many problems with dogs when dogs are trained with a shock collar around their necks. And the reason is this: shock suppresses behavior but doesn't change it. There's a big difference between suppression and change. So if your dog tries to go chase the cats and then boom, it gets a shock on the shock collar, what does your dog feel about the cats now?
Right, right.
Cats equals pain, doesn't it? So you might see that the behavior's been suppressed, the behavior stopped, but has the behavior improved? No, no, no. Hasn't improved and it hasn't changed. It's been suppressed. So I want my dog to look at the cats and go, when I look at cats, something good happens to me
Right.
by getting a reward. But I also teach dogs impulse control, and I do that using what's called a leave it cue, where I teach the dog how to leave something that it desperately wants to chase. Now, if you've got a dog that has high prey drive and you have cats in the home, separate them. Give your cats spaces where they can go and places where they can escape to, like a cat tree, for example. That cat can get to a higher level, and so that the dog can't scare them. And separate. Make sure the cat has their own area and the dog has their own area
Right,
too.
right.
Okay?
Oh, what about those invisible fence?
Same thing, the invisible fences. So many dogs. So people, because of way American real estate is
Right.
figured, a lot of people use these electric fences. But
Because if you live like on the beach and you
Yes.
don't want the dog to go out in the night, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we had that for one of our dogs. Well, actually, for
Mm-hmm.
all of them. But for the littlest dog, the baby that came, he had the little noise. They make a noise
tone.
and then they make a shock, right?
Yes.
He did it
Yeah.
with the noise.
Yeah.
He didn't like the noise, so he never even got
Absolutely.
to the shock.
Okay.
And I think it saved their lives.
Yeah.
Because before we got that, one of our dogs was hit by a car because we live near a highway. So it was you kind of
You know,
you can't
I-
fence in
I
you
think
can't fence
that's the dilemma.
Yeah.
That's the dilemma, and that's what the difficulty, because there are some dogs that will respond to it.
Right.
And there are lots of other dogs that don't. There are lots of other dogs that have been killed because they've run through the
Right,
electric
right,
fence.
yeah.
They've got such high prey drive, boom, they
Right.
drive, they run through it. Also, the electric fence doesn't stop other animals coming onto the property
that's
or the
true.
people coming onto the property.
Right.
And so many dogs are getting stolen without proper containment.
wow.
So that's why I say I'm against electric fences, because a lot of dogs are very anxious, even hearing the tone, because
Right.
the tone is associated with the shocks, can make some dogs anxious. It only takes one shock for a lifetime of fear and trauma,
Right.
because one shock is imprinted in the brain forever.
Uh-huh.
Some dogs can tolerate it, other dogs can't. And I would say, if you have a big property, if you can find some way of maybe even giving your dog a small run on a part of that property that's fenced in,
Right.
and the rest of your property
Right.
can be open,
Right.
that would be your safest option.
Yes. Well, but no shock for behavior. Valerie, I'm getting married, but my dog doesn't like my fiance. He growls when he sees him and whimpers and won't let him pet him. We are moving in together next month, and I'm really worried about how we're all going to live together. Is this jealousy? Is he protecting me? How do I get my man and dog to get along?
Oh, so often this
Is this
happens.
happening?
Oh, look, you know what? I really do think dogs can feel jealous, because now here comes in another
They do
person
feel
getting
jealous,
your attention.
absolutely.
And it's tough. All right. All good things happen when your fiance is in the room. All good things stop when your fiance goes out. Find whatever motivates your dog the most. What motivates your dog to learn? What your dog enjoys doing the most. That starts with you and the dog when your fiance comes in, and it ends when he leaves. Your fiance now is the person that takes your dog out for a walk all the time.
Yes.
Your fiance is now the person who feeds your dog most
Right.
of the time. You really begin to build that
Right,
relationship.
that's right.
Most important thing, take pressure off. Don't have your fiance want to sort of force a relationship, go up and try and touch your dog all the time. Get him to do nothing. Be aloof.
Right.
As if no problem.
But
And
put down his
find,
food.
Exactly. And then you might find the dog suddenly goes, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I want a relationship.
Especially
you
if
know.
you give him the food.
Exactly.
This is from Delia Mason Weiss. Dear Victoria, we took in a dog that has fear aggression issues. He was abused and was going to be put down after biting the person that abused him. He's a blue heeler Australian Shepherd mix and has all that energy plus his issues. We have to keep a muzzle on him when people come to our home or we go out in public. When they do come to our house, he wants to bite them and gets very protective. When we're out on walks, he wants to chase cars and bicycles. He sometimes lunges at passerbys. He does not like loud noises. We are at our wits' end of trying to help him.
Okay,
What
this
do you do?
this is fear. This is absolute fear. And you know, unfortunately, when a dog has gone through this abuse, this fear is so deeply ingrained into the brain that it's highly resistant to change. Plus, he's a blue heeler Australian Shepherd mix. I mean, you couldn't get a dog which is a herder, very sensitive dog anyway, and then now has these fear issues. Look, the most important thing I can say, because this is a huge issue, is that you have to be able to teach your dog to cope. And one of those is to get a trainer to come in and help you. This isn't something you can deal with by yourself, because it might be that your dog is so fearful and so anxious that your dog can't even learn, and which by you're going to have to get help from your veterinarian as well as with your trainer. Now, how to find a trainer? Finding a trainer can be very difficult because there are lots of trainers that will come and dominate your dog, and that's not the kind of trainer you need at all. You need a trainer that comes into your home, is going to use positive reinforcement methods only to improve your dog's confidence. Even though it might look like the dog is being nasty when somebody comes in because it wants to bite them, it's actually not, it's fear. So I have a network of trainers that have been endorsed by me and assessed, and they are the creme de la creme of positive reinforcement
And how do we
trainers
find
in this
those
country.
trainers?
If you go to positively.com/trainers, you will be able to find a list, and hopefully there's one in your area. If you can't find one of those, make sure that the trainer uses humane methods only, because this is a very, very difficult condition to get under control.
And I think keeping a muzzle on him all the time must be difficult for that dog, right?
It causes the dog stress, but you
Yes.
know, they're being very good, because you know they're trying to protect people coming onto the property. That dog bites again, that's a liability.
Right, exactly. This is GKOH. Positive training is fine as long as there's a balance of discipline to provide natural feedback. There's also a difference between leadership and dominance. Leaders don't need to negotiate using treats to get desired behavior from dogs. I want my dogs working for me, not food. That's odd.
Oh, no. Look, lots of people think you should never use food with the dog. Okay, so here's the thing. Positive reinforcement training doesn't mean permissive. We reward behavior we like. We don't only use food. We use whatever motivates the dog.
Right.
Some dogs are motivated by food. Some dogs are motivated by play or by toys. Use whatever motivates your dog. So the old idea that positive reinforcement trainers only use food is not right, because we use everything. But you find whatever motivates your dog. But you also use discipline as guidance. You do not use discipline punishment to force your dog into states where your dog will not be able to learn and will not be successful. You don't want to dominate your dog into complete submission, because submission equals shutdown where your dog doesn't want to learn. You give discipline as guidance. The discipline that I use is timeouts, ignoring behavior, interrupting behavior with a or something like that, and redirecting negative behavior onto positive behavior. That's all you need. You do not need to use harsh punishment.
They know the voice.
They absolutely do. Now, every dog is different. And here's the thing. Food, don't be fooled, is extremely powerful, because food changes brain chemistry. And when people say, don't use food with dogs, that's bribery, I want them to work for me.
Oh, sure.
Well, hey, you go to work and don't be paid for
Right,
it.
exactly.
Is what I always say. Look,
That's funny.
food is powerful because food changes brain chemistry, and the reason is that when you present food to a dog, even before you've given that piece of food to your dog, the dog's level, the neurotransmitter dopamine in your dog's brain, basically your dog gets a charge of dopamine in his brain.
Right.
And that really increases your dog's ability to learn, because as soon as that dog sees and smells that treat, its drive, its natural seeking drive, goes into gear. And that releases the dopamine in its brain, which encourages learning, which levels emotion and makes the dog feel good. So don't ever underestimate the power of food in training.
And they know the word.
Oh, they
We
do.
would say to our dogs, you want a cookie? And they go,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
You want a cookie? And my husband would say to them, all three of them, they're big dogs, he'd say, I am so disappointed in you. And they go, That's all they needed. I am so disappointed in you. I thought it was so darling.
Because tone is important.
Yeah, it is.
Tone and the way you look as well.
Absolutely. This is from Lynn Yenhert. Hello, Lynn. Victoria, can an average dog discern between a small dog and a large dog? I see small dogs try to attack large dogs. You would think a small dog would be intimidated by a large dog. What is your opinion?
I think they definitely can see size, and I have a little Chihuahua Terrier mix, and believe you me, yeah, she knows that there's a Great Dane there, and then she can be reactive sometimes. And I'm trained. She's just come into my house, so I'm training her not to be so, because she was totally unsocialized before I got her at 6 months old. But no, I think some dogs will just go on the defensive and will react in whatever way they can, whether it's a large or a small dog.
Yeah, I think so too. I had a little Yorkie who used to bark at the horses in the park. It was like saying, I'm not afraid of you. I got my own toughness here.
They're terriers. What do you expect?
This is from Marie Lebowski. I'm thinking of getting a dog. I'm a senior with many disabilities. I don't want a dog that's too big or one that is high maintenance. I live in a small apartment. What kind of dog would you suggest for me?
Gosh, well, I think certainly before you get a dog, if you're unable to take that dog out, if you can sort of build up a support system around you so that the dog can get out to be walked, the dog can get the proper training that it needs. But I would say maybe a good breed for you would be a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, something that's a bit more of a companion dog, maybe a pug, something that still needs exercise, still needs important mental stimulation, but that's also a bit of a couch potato too.
Yes, and those little dogs, those little Maltese.
Oh yeah,
they're wonderful.
They are. They can really bark.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Sorry to all those Maltese owners out there. I do love them, but they're very loud.
This is from S.M. Stewart. Any tips for training older dogs? Does it take longer to train an older dog, or is it impossible, as some people have tried to make me believe?
Okay, no, it's not impossible to train an older dog. They just learn slower.
Right.
That's all, because their brains are actually lighter. An adult dog's brain, or I would say a senior dog's brain, is 25% lighter than an adult dog. And that's because as the dog gets older, the brain basically, the cells die. So yeah, dogs can learn, but just give them a bit more time and be a bit more patient.
Yes. This is from Jackie. Hello, Victoria. I'm looking after a 5-month-old pug. It does not chomp or attempt to chew its puppy complete meal mini biscuits. It will swallow them whole. Also, it's constantly sniffing out things to eat, eating anything it comes across, which is a great concern for me. I had to move my cat's litter tray as the pug was trying to eat the litter. He eats so fast. Please, could you advise me on how to get him to slow down and break dog food up in his mouth before swallowing? Well, that's kind of hard thing to teach.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think first of all, you need to take your dog to the veterinarian to have your dog's teeth checked. Actually, crunching the food, the biscuits, could be causing your dog pain, which is why he's not crunching, he's just eating the food and just swallowing it. So it might mean that your dog has to go onto some wet food. But here, there are special bowls you can get that have, and you've got to get a special one for a pug. Don't get a bowl for a long-nosed breed, but they have these bowls that kind of got little mounds and ridges. So instead of the dog just snarfing the food down right there and then, it has to negotiate and eat around the ridges in the bowl, so it takes them longer to do so.
Oh, that's
or
good.
You can feed your dog through activity toys. Make sure it's a toy that your pug, with its delicate mouth, can get to, and that it doesn't cause your dog pain. But these activity toys are great. In fact, I don't feed my dogs from a dog bowl anymore. I just feed them through their toys because it's great mental stimulation.
Oh, what do you mean you feed them the toy?
So like I get a treat ball and I put their kibble in the treat ball, and they have to roll the treat ball around in order to get their food out. So they're doing what they're supposed to do, hunting and seeking, finding their food.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. This is from Karen Harris. We only have time for 2 more questions. We've adopted 2 sisters, golden cocker poodle mixes.
Wow.
We have read that you should never have siblings. They're too difficult to train and they can become aggressive. Though they do sometimes have a collective mind, they are as good or better in behavior and training than most puppies. Should we do anything differently because of their sibling status?
No. Yes, siblings can fight, especially 2 bitches. Inter-bitch aggression can be very, very severe. But I think if you train them well, you bring them up well, then you shouldn't have any problems. And if there are any problems, get a trainer in to help you. And always, if there are 2 dogs that are fighting to the death in the house, people, because they're so attached to these dogs emotionally, don't want to rehome one. But I'd say, look, if the stress levels in the house are getting too much, or the dogs are in danger, rehoming is the safest, kindest thing. Yeah.
This is from Eli. What are the most common reasons why dogs misbehave?
I think it's confusion. You know, they live in our weird domestic worlds. They don't speak our language. We don't speak theirs. And we have trouble understanding each other. So I think when you take a little time to understand dog language, how they communicate, how they think, how they feel, what they need in order to be successful, you can make teaching them and living with them a lot easier.
Yes. I want to just, since we have so little time, I want to be sure. Okay, here's a good one. Kelly Williams. I have an 11-year-old Jack Russell Terrier. He barks constantly, and I live in an apartment. I think he's afraid all the time. I have no idea how to make him feel more secure. He's losing his eyesight, so I think that may be connected.
Sounds like it's a bit of separation anxiety, and here's where it's difficult. Separation anxiety is one of the most difficult behaviors to treat because there's a lot of modification that you have to do. There's a lot of protocol that you have to do in order to get your dog to be more confident. But here's what worries me, that your dog is going blind and he's 11 years old. So maybe this kind of training is not going to help him. But again, I would get a positive reinforcement trainer in to help you, because this is a problem that will not go away. The barking is most likely linked to A, boredom, or B, anxiety, or a mixture of both. It could be also frustration as well. So you have to find out the reason why the dog barks. And the best way to do that is set up a little video camera in your place, maybe by set one up by the doorway or set one up in another room, borrow some friends' video cameras, and video what your dog does when you're not there. Show that video to a trainer. That will give that trainer an idea of why your dog is barking. Then when you know why, then you can treat it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, last two. This is from Elsie. I have a 6-year-old Schnauzer, medium size. When I take her for a walk, she always picks up all kinds of rubbish to eat, bits of bones, anything. Munches everything quite quickly before I can even get a chance to stop her. However, the worst thing is she happens to sense some feces in the bushes, and she eats that too. It's really disgusting to wash her face afterward. Is there a way to train her not to do that?
I tell you, lots of dogs eat poop.
I know.
And it is gross and it's disgusting. And of course, it can really be bad for them health-wise as well. It's all right, actually, if they eat their own poop, because if that poop comes out and then the dog eats it, you know that at least that poop is fresh and doesn't have parasites, and your dog's be vaccinated. But it's when they eat the poop of another animal
there's
that's
no
been
way to
hanging out
stop
for
them.
Do you know what? There is, have your dog on a leash, because the more your dog eats the poop, the less, the more it's going to want to.
Right.
So always have, and teach your dog some impulse control, like the leave it cue. When as soon as you see your dog going for something, say leave it. Cut it off right before it can go for that poop. But I have to tell you, some poop tastes really nice to dogs. I know, the gross.
All right, and the last one. This is Megan Cahill Azenza. Hi, Megan. My name is Megan, and I watch your show all the time on Animal Planet. I have a standard poodle who goes nuts when she sees a cat outside. She'll whimper, bark, and run around the house, jump up on the front door to get to the cat. We have a hard time calming her down. She's gotten a little better when we walk and see the cat, but she won't take treats from me. She's too focused on the cat. What is the best way to handle her when she sees the cat outside the house? Are we doing the right thing to treat her when she is calm when she sees the cat, even though she won't take it? How do we break this pattern?
Yeah, you know, again, this is a dog that's not motivated by treats. This is a dog that's motivated by the potential of the chase and the catch. You know, a lot of dogs, even if they might not want to catch another animal, the chase is just, it's awesome. So what I would do, I mean, when we have dogs that do that, we have, if you could find, which is quite difficult, but I have a cat that I use that's almost like a dog, that's completely unfazed by dogs wanting to chase her, completely unfazed. And I introduce them, and I do on the leash so that it's always safe. And then I do, again, some real important impulse
control. This is the cat you bring into somebody else's house?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I see.
And so we do that with the setup first. But then I also train a dog to only chase on my cue.
Oh.
And this is the way you can do, because there's no point in trying to get rid of bad behavior without training a dog what to do in its place. So I will, instead of chasing the cats, if you have a calm reaction to the cat, you are going to get the best game of tug with me. Or I have all these different kinds of toys, chase it toys, where I whirl around my head this toy that's on the other end of a rope, and the dog can chase it. But it can only chase it when I say.
I see.
So I teach the dog to have impulse control with a weight. And then when I say chase, I say chase. And then when I say stop, the dog learns to stop. So I have it on cue. So if the dog is interested in seeing the cat outside, I will also have a cue when I say enough. If the dog is calm, then it either gets food or it gets a chase it game.
Wow. You're good.
Well, I hope so. I've been doing this long enough.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
It's really been fun and so informative to hear you.
Thank you for having me.
I learned a lot today. I hope you did too. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.